been a few weeks now, four to be exact, that I've had the Kursk by Stalingrad watches into the channel. I did lend it out for about a week or so to a friend of mine, trying to get some additional feedback. Here's how I feel after 4 weeks. One more thing before we get into the review. Stalingrad Watches has not asked for this watch to be returned to them to date. They have not mentioned me mailing it back or shipping it back to them. As far as I can tell, this watch is going to be mine. So take that into consideration while you watch the rest of the review. So the Stalingrad presentation box and so on, all great. It shows up on a two-piece genuine leather strap. It did not spend any time on my wrist at all. Just long enough for me to realize that my wrist is still a little bit too fat. Let's be honest, it's not muscle. The two-piece strap is a little too short for my liking. The tail on it, by comparison to this rubber, appears to be the same length, but it's appears to be the same length overall. But for some reason, due to the thickness of the strap and the buckles, when I have it on my wrist, it's all the way up to the last hole on the tail, and it becomes very uncomfortable, and the keepers won't hold it, and literally the tail here, the corner, slips out of the keeper and sticks off. Not the kind of feel I'm going for, although it appears to be of decent quality. I do like the finishes. I do like the Stalingrad buckle. It does match the case. So overall, solid work there. You know, nothing spectacular, but definitely the right style cues and design cues, I guess, for the watch itself. I couldn't speak to the longevity of the strap, break-in and so on, but it's definitely not the worst strap material I've ever experienced. The Kursk almost immediately was moved to this faux Panerai rubber strap I purchased on eBay. It has a stainless steel buckle. I am thinking about switching the Stalingrad buckle onto this strap. I will check into it later because there is a bit of a taper here, and I'm not convinced that they're the same width. But this strap fits much better on my 7 3/4 inch wrist. So 4 weeks on wrist time with a friend of mine also. No complaints. Timekeeping is great. Watch feels comfortable. It is heavy. There's no two ways about that. There's no denying the weight and the heft and the physical size of the watch. And as just a reminder, this watch case is 45, if not 46 millimeters. And with the crown, it comes in at a hefty 48. Overall form and function of the watch appear to be good. The finish was a beautiful bronze, clean bronze look when it arrived, almost rose gold. Since then, it's begun to develop its patina, which was no surprise. It is bronze. Pros to the watch: the Miyota movement. That's going to be a real sort of just tough movement, real workhorse. You know, it's not uncommon. So is it a pro? I don't know. It's not uncommon to see marked or branded rotors. They have a bit of a signed crown with the star there. Pros for me: I'm a big fan of Cali dial. I think that Stalingrad has done a phenomenal job with the dial design. The markers, indices are applied. Pardon me. And there's quite a texture to the dial. I think the design overall is great. It's very visually interesting. Now, if you've been paying attention as I'm going through the watch, if this is not your first time or first experience with the Kursk, rotating dial, 120 click unidirectional. Unfortunately, my biggest complaint about the whole design, it also affects function. You've got a rotating bezel, 120 clicks, but you don't have sort of a start point. All these sort of rivet or button heads, whatever you want to call them, these rivet head designs, none of them are distinguished as sort of different from the others. So you have 6 of these markers. None is represented as the 0 or start point, however you want to look at it. And therefore, if you were timing yourself, you really don't know which one is the sort of start point, 0 point. I brought this up with Kursk. Apologies. I brought this up with Stalingrad, and they've agreed that it is something that they're looking into. So maybe in future revisions or renditions of this particular watch, they might update that. Because truly, otherwise, you know, it is rated as water resistant to 200 meters. So it's a real shame that, you know, if you wanted to give it a go for a bit of snorkeling and so on, or, you know, really, you probably wouldn't be timing yourself if you were snorkeling. But I think it's, regardless of its ability to take into the diving, I certainly would have appreciated if it had a marker to say that this is your 0 point on the bezel. Otherwise, I have 0 complaints about the watch. If you're not into large watches, then maybe this is not for you, but it's not really a complaint. Then it's just a style choice. I continue to enjoy watching the bronze age. So the bezel, everything is still working as it should. The bezel is working fine. Crown action is good. Timekeeping is good. Date function. My watch bro, Pierre, he took a look at it, and he was a little concerned over the framing around the date. He felt that that made the dates window a little too small, constricting sort of the numbers and making the numbers a little bit harder to read in there. So I'll give him that one also. Overall, Stalingrad and this Kursk model, huge fan. They do have a couple of other colorways where the dial is black and one where the dial is blue. I'm a huge fan of this sort of forest hunter green, olive green look. And I've pumped it up a little bit more on a green strap. Overall, great job by Stalingrad with this Kursk watch. So yeah, there you go.